What happened is that Shirley brought me to Hollywood to do Gambit, but her thing she was doing overran, and I was a week on my own in Hollywood, and I'd never been to America.
Few film careers are as rich and shape-shifting as Sir Michael Caine's. Born Morris Micklewhite in Elephant and Castle, he climbed from a hard-working London childhood to become one of Britain's most cherished screen presences. Across 7 decades, he's collaborated with directors from John Huston and David Lean to Christopher Nolan, moving effortlessly from the golden age to today's blockbusters. At 92, he's still witty, sharp, and openly grateful for the movies that taught him his craft. Caine has never hidden his cinematic debts.
You pick your top favorite movies.
Yes.
Can I reveal a few of them here?
He talks about films that taught him what acting could do, performances that felt honest, stories that lingered, lines that stuck. From Bogart's cool restraint to Brando's wounded force, from sparkling romantic thrillers to raw tales of redemption, his favorites revealed taste, respect for craft, and a hunger for truth. These are 6 films he's repeatedly cited as inspirations, each one a different facet of the sensibility that made him a screen legend. On the Waterfront, 1954.
On the Waterfront, fabulous. See, I thought Marlon was the greatest. Wonderful. I loved the whole movie. I thought it was fabulous. Yeah.
For Michael Caine, Marlon Brando's Terry Malloy in On the Waterfront was nothing short of a revelation. When I saw Brando in that, Caine has said, I thought, that's acting. He wasn't acting. He was being. That simple truth reshaped Caine's entire approach. Performance as presence, not performance as display. Elia Kazan's 1954 drama places Terry, an ex-boxer turned longshoreman, in a moral vice after he witnesses a murder tied to corrupt union bosses. Bud Schulberg's script resists sermonizing. It leans on small human choices. Caine admired how Brando filled pauses with feeling. Each glance, each slumped shoulder carrying a backstory. That line, I could have been a contender, Caine observed, isn't bravado. It's a confession. It teaches you how to say everything with less.
I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum.
Caine also praised Kazan's orchestration of character and place. The docs are another actor, he said. They press in on him. Brando uses the space. He lets the world close in. Boris Kaufman's stark cinematography and Kazan's patient direction taught Caine that mood and setting are acting partners. Location can reflect conscience, and light can make hesitation audible. On the Waterfront changed the grammar of on-screen masculinity for Caine. Before Brando, heroes were polished. After him, they were fracture-prone and human. He showed me vulnerability could be strength, Caine remarked. That lesson echoed through Caine's own work. Men who reveal inner life through small, truthful beats rather than grand speeches. If you perform, the camera knows, he once warned. If you live, the camera believes. Caine also took a practical lesson. Restraint is hard craft. People think doing less is easy, he said. It isn't. It's the toughest thing. Terry Malloy's arc, from frightened bystander to someone who stands and speaks, offered Caine a model of moral complexity enacted in quiet gestures, a dropped gaze, a clenched jaw, a single decisive step. Even decades later, Caine returns to On the Waterfront for its unvarnished honesty. It's a lesson in truth, he has said simply. It taught me what acting could be. Brando didn't wince or shout. He revealed. And for Caine, that revelation remains one of cinema's most enduring lessons. Charade, 1963. For Michael Caine, Charade is proof that a thriller can be playful, stylish, and emotionally deft all at once. I love that film, he said. It's witty, elegant, and never takes itself too seriously. That balance, tension braided with charm, captures the kind of movie-making Caine admires. Craft smiling under pressure. Directed by Stanley Donen and set against a luminous Paris, Charade follows Audrey Hepburn's Regina Lampert as she discovers her husband's murder may be connected to wartime stolen money. Enter Cary Grant's mysterious Peter Joshua, whose shifting identities keep both Regina and the audience guessing. Caine often points to a single tossed-off exchange between Grant and Hepburn as a perfect example of screen chemistry that feels effortless.
Do you know what's wrong with you?
No, what?
Nothing.
That moment, Caine has said, is like watching two people invent conversation in the room. What captivated Caine isn't merely the plot's twists, but the discipline under the glamour. He admired Cary Grant's control. Grant made difficult things look easy, Caine noted, and Hepburn's intelligence and poise. For Caine, Grant's precision and Hepburn's luminous honesty create a partnership that's both theatrical and believable. They make you believe in a kind of civilized danger, he added, where charm and threat walk together. Caine also appreciated Donan's tonal finesse. Charade slides between screwball romance, caper comedy, and spy intrigue without ever losing its voice. Its Paris locations, crisp dialogue, and jaunty Bernard Herrmann score sustain momentum while allowing quieter human moments to breathe. Caine admired how the film respects the audience's intelligence, never explaining too much, trusting in performance and timing to deliver payoff. That mix of lightness and craft influenced Caine's own instincts as a performer. Audiences want to be entertained and understand the people on screen, he said. In roles from Alfie to The Italian Job, he learned to layer humor over consequence, to let a joke reveal character rather than derail it. Charade is a reminder that style can be a storytelling tool, and wit can carry stakes as effectively as a gunshot. Decades on, Caine returns to Charade for its audacity and ease, a movie that can make you laugh while tightening the screws. It taught me how a scene can sing, he said, and that's something any actor should study. The Third Man, 1949.
Third Man.
The Third Man,
Sure,
yeah.
a lot of not 1940s films, I have to say.
No, well, there's Carol Reed.
For Michael Caine, The Third Man is a lesson in mood, precision, and the power of presence. I remember thinking, that film is more than a story, it's an atmosphere, he said. Watching Carol Reed's post-war Vienna taught him that cinema can use light, sound, and composition as moral instruments, not just backdrops. Set among bombed-out streets and shadowed corridors, the 1949 film follows Joseph Cotton's Holly Martins as he unravels the mystery of his friend Harry Lime, played in electric, brief bursts by Orson Welles. Caine has repeatedly marveled at Welles's economy. He's on screen for minutes, but he owns the movie. That recognition, how one moment can reshape an entire film, stuck with Caine as a blueprint for acting with restraint and impact. Caine admired Reed and cinematographer Robert Krasker's visual daring, skewed angles, deep shadows, and sharply composed frames that make Vienna itself a character of moral ambiguity. Every shot is saying something, Caine noted. It's all deliberate. You learn to let space do some of your acting for you. Anton Karas' zither score, at once playful and eerie, underlines the film's peculiar mix of charm and menace, a tonal tightrope that fascinated Caine. The Third Man also taught Caine about ethical fog. The film's moral landscape is crooked, populated by charming opportunists and exhausted idealists, and Caine learned how performance can inhabit that blur. He admired Joseph Cotton's bewildered integrity against Welles's seductive immorality. Their interplay showed him how opposing energies can define a narrative without grand exposition.
Sagen Sie, was fällt denn Ihnen überhaupt ein? Sind Sie deppert? Ja, Sie meine ich, schauen Sie nicht so blöd.
Welles' cuckoo clock speech remains one of the movie's most memorable sequences.
Had 500 years of democracy and peace, and what did that produce? The cuckoo clock. So long, Holly.
And Caine often cites it as an example of dialogue that does more than inform. It refracts a character's worldview.
And of course, there's a speech by Orson. Graham Greene didn't write that, Orson wrote that speech.
That speech changes everything, Caine has said. It shows how talk can be theatrical and terrifying at once. Technically and morally precise, The Third Man taught Caine lessons he carried into his own work. Let setting reflect conscience, let restraint sharpen meaning, and never waste a single frame. It's craftsmanship, he said simply. That film tells you how cinema should be made. Casablanca, 1942. For Michael Caine, Casablanca is the blueprint of screen understatement and moral courage. Bogart taught me how to be quiet and still and make it mean everything, Caine has said. Watching Humphrey Bogart's Rick Blaine showed him that restraint, small gestures, a lowered glance can carry more power than speeches. Set in 1942 at Rick's Café Américain, the film weaves romance, political urgency, and razor-sharp dialogue into a story about exile and sacrifice. When Ingrid Bergman's Ilsa re-enters Rick's life with her husband Victor Laszlo, the personal collides with the political, forcing Rick into a choice that reveals his buried honor. Caine revered the screenplay's economy.
we'll always have Paris. We didn't have, we lost it until you came to Casablanca. We got it back last night.
Lines like "We'll always have Paris" or "The problems of three little people" are tiny moral detonations.
See that the problems of three little people don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world.
You dream of lines like that as an actor, he said. They give you a moment to do something true. Caine admired Bogart's controlled charisma, how his persona could hide tenderness and courage beneath cynicism. Bogart's idea was never to show too much, Caine noted. He made understatement heroic. That lesson informed Caine's own screen presence. Men who are witty and dry, but who reveal depths with a look or a gesture. He adopted that compact honesty as a principle. Let the subtext breathe. Beyond performance, Casablanca taught Caine about storytelling that respects its audience. The film balances genre with gravitas, wrapping a love triangle in wartime stakes so that personal sacrifice feels global. Cinematic economy, tight scenes, purposeful dialogue, and a finale at a foggy airstrip showed Caine how to pace emotion without melodrama. It's a perfect film, he said. Everything is in its place. Casablanca also left a personal imprint. Caine later chose his stage name after spotting the Caine Mutiny marquee. Bogart's influence threaded through both career and identity. For him, Casablanca isn't nostalgia. It's a lesson in craft, how a single-held look, a small line, or a precise silence can define a character's moral life. That's what stays with you, Caine has said. It's why I keep going back. The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, 1948.
I've seen that picture at least 20 times. I love the treasure of Sierra Madre.
When Michael Caine talks about the treasure of the Sierra Madre, he speaks with near reverence. If you ever heard the voice of God, he once said, it would be John Huston. That line sums up how deeply he admires Huston's direction and the film's moral clarity, an adventure that strips ambition down to its ugly, inevitable truths. John Huston's 1948 drama follows three desperate drifters in 1920s Mexico: Humphrey Bogart's Fred C. Dobbs, Tim Holt's Bob Curtin, and Walter Huston's veteran prospector Howard, as gold fever transforms camaraderie into paranoia. Caine has long praised the picture's brutal honesty. The gold doesn't change them, he said. It reveals them. As the dust, heat, and promise of wealth mount, Dobbs unravels into suspicion and violence. Greed becomes both plot engine and moral microscope. When bandits scatter their hoard and the wind literally blows the loot away, Howard's dry laughter becomes the film's unflinching verdict. Caine admired Huston's refusal of sentimentality. It's honest storytelling, he said. No false heroics, just truth. Shot largely on location, the film's sweat, grime, and sun-baked landscapes taught Caine that authenticity on screen matters more than glossy spectacle. You can smell the heat, he's observed. You feel the desperation. That sensory realism informed Caine's own instincts for grounded performances in gritty dramas. Bogart's Dobbs left a particular mark. Caine, who calls Bogart a foundational influence, frequently cites the way Bogart lets madness creep in frame by frame without exaggeration. That's acting without vanity, Caine said. Controlled chaos. He learned from Bogart and Huston that the most revealing moments are small: a furtive look, a muttered line, a trembling hand. The film's moral ambivalence also resonated with Caine's career choices. He returned again and again to characters pushed to the edge, men shaped by loyalty, greed, and disillusionment. No one in the film is purely good or bad, he noted. They're people under pressure. That human complexity, Caine believed, is what gives the treasure of the Sierra Madre its enduring power. It's an adventure that becomes a parable about what happens when desire overtakes conscience. The Maltese Falcon, 1941. For Michael Caine, the Maltese Falcon was revelation. I saw it in London after the war, and I'd never seen anything like it, he said. It was the first time I'd seen what they call a film noir. That discovery changed how he thought about acting. Cinema could speak in shadow, silence, and clipped, dangerous lines. John Huston's 1941 debut adapts Dashiell Hammett's novel into a tight, ruthless thriller. Humphrey Bogart's Sam Spade navigates a maze of liars, thieves, and killers, all hunting the jewel-encrusted statuette. The plot, murder, double-crosses, and shifting loyalties matters. But Caine was captured most by mood: rain-streaked windows, cramped offices, cigarette smoke, and conversations that sounded like duels. That world, it had a rhythm like jazz, he said. Every look counted. Bogart's Spade taught Caine what a leading man could be. Tough without swagger, sardonic yet human. Bogart didn't perform for the camera, Caine observed. He just was that man. For a working-class boy from Elephant and Castle, Bogart's combination of toughness and dignity felt magnetic, a model Caine would echo in roles from gangsters to spies. He admired how Bogart revealed character through economy, a tilt of the head, a dry line, a withheld reaction. Caine also praised Huston's emerging directorial voice, lean compositions, sharp dialogue, and a refusal to over-explain. Huston's rule, if it's not interesting, don't shoot it, stuck with me, Caine said. The film trusts its audience, letting silence and shadow carry meaning. Less spectacle, more moral pressure. The ensemble sealed the effect. Peter Lorre's slippery menace, Sidney Greenstreet's urbane menace, and Mary Astor's ambivalence created a combustible moral landscape. Caine noted how the cast made noir about collisions between personalities, not just a lone tough guy with a gun. It showed me an ensemble could make the whole thing sing, he said. That skeletal atmospheric aesthetic became part of Caine's artistic DNA, restraint, moral complexity, and rhythm. The Maltese Falcon didn't merely entertain him, it taught him a grammar of performance and storytelling he'd used for decades. Michael Caine's chosen favorites sketch a private syllabus, performances that prize understatement, stories that let mood do the heavy lifting, and characters revealed by tiny, decisive choices. These films pushed him toward truth over display, teaching him that tension can live in a silence, that moral ambiguity gives a role its texture, and that atmosphere often works as a character of its own. The result is a career defined by measured risk, dry wit, and an ability to make a single look carry a scene. Which one of his favorites did you see? Or maybe you disagree with his choice? Sound off in the comments below. If you found this look at Caine's influences compelling, like the video and subscribe for more focused film studies.